So let's talk about the treatment of leaky gut. And this is a long process. It can take around about 3 months before you actually feel any kind of real difference, to 6 months to actually completely heal your gut. But every individual is different, and those things that can affect this are things like life stress. So things that might happen during your life that could stress you out. As I mentioned before, stress is a massive contributor to leaky gut. So it's something to be clearly aware of when you're treating this problem. But the protocol consists of a treatment itself using a bunch of different supplements, post-treatment things that you're going to do to kind of manage or make sure that that you don't flare up your leaky gut, and interventions to hopefully stop it from coming back again. Now, what this looks like is what I call the 3Rs. So we're going to replace, so in other words, we're going to stop things that are going to potentially damage our gut. So gluten-free foods, low FODMAP foods, potentially avoiding certain foods that are going to cause us to flare up, like I said, eggs, dairy, those sorts of things. Knowing your kryptonites as such, you're going to repair. So you're going to repair your gut itself using things like probiotics, prebiotics, bone broth, colostrum, a bunch of other things which I'll mention in the next couple of slides. And then you're going to rebalance. So the rebalance is a really important part, and that involves things like sleep, diet, exercise, and stress management. So we want to make sure that we are covering all those three areas to make sure that we have a really good, decent protocol. Now, the herbal treatment itself, it consists of a bunch of different supplements, and these are just some ideas around a supplement protocol. And this is what I did when I healed my leaky gut. So I started off with colostrum. Now, colostrum is a milk-like fluid that's released from the breasts of mammals that have just given birth, and it's really, really high in nutrients. And what you want to do is to try and give your body as many good nutrients as possible. And I recommend taking colostrum kind of first thing in the morning, while just before you have your breakfast, or just before you have any drink ready, to help give your gut a really good kind of lining, really, and help build up those nutrients you're going to get inside your body. Because we want to make sure that we're keeping our body in its best possible state, and that's going to be giving it really, really good nutrients. We're then going to use supplements like L-glutamine and things like mucosa support. Again, I'll put links to all this stuff in the actual description itself. But L-glutamine is incredibly healing for the gut. It's a really cheap supplement as well, and it's something you can get easily through Amazon or other places. And mucosa support comes in different formats. Now, I've got one that I recommend. Again, I'll put links to all these below. But mucosa support will just help rebuild the mucosa in your gut lining. And again, this isn't a short-term thing. It takes a long time. So you might have to do several versions of these supplements, or take them several times before you actually notice any difference. We're then going to do things like bone broth. So at the start of the day, what I used to do, I used to mix my colostrum in with some bone broth, and there's lots of really good bone broths out there. If you don't want to make it yourself, you can buy it online. Again, I'll put links to this, so you can start your day right. So you're starting your day with a really nutritious drink, and what this is good for, it's very, very easy on your digestive system. Because these aren't solid foods, they're already kind of almost in a broken down state. It's very easy for your body to absorb these nutrients and help take in that to help build up your body. So colostrum and bone broth are very, very powerful things. What we're then going to do to actually help your body break foods down, so you're not damaging that gut lining, you're actually having a bit of a breakdown process beforehand, is you're going to use digestive enzymes. Now, digestive enzymes are particularly helpful in breaking down fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. And with HCl, which is a type of acid that's in your stomach, this can really help break your foods down, which makes it a lot easier to pass through your small intestine. So digestive enzymes can be incredibly helpful, especially when you're eating larger meals. You'll find they're very, very beneficial and can hopefully prevent you from feeling bloated as well. Then we're gonna I recommend, supplement for malnutrition I've put here, and that's reason for that is that your body is potentially malnourished, and if you've had SIBO or leaky gut for a long time, you might find that you're in a bit of a weakened state. You don't have a lot of energy, and I recommend testing. And the reason I recommend testing is that you can test to see what deficiencies you have in your body. So, for example, you can test to see what minerals, what vitamins, things that you need to survive, really, and keep your body thriving. on a daily basis. So I do recommend testing, and I'll talk about that on the next slide. And the next important thing, and I'd probably say this is more important than any of the other things really, is very good sleep. You want to make sure you're sleeping as much as possible, because it's during the sleep stages, especially deep sleep, where you're going to find your body gets the most benefits from all these other things you're taking and actually help heal your gut. So it's when you're not eating, is it when you're at your best? And something you could potentially add to this treatment is fasting. So basically you could have your bone broth in the morning, and you might decide to fast to give your gut a really good chance in the morning just to have a slower wake up really. So it's taking its time to digest all those good supplements you've given it, and actually then push your meal back to later on during the day. So have a look into fasting if it's something you're interested in, but it could potentially help you with this problem. Now the test that I'm talking about is this one here, which is called Metabolomix, which is a bit of a strange name, but this test is really good because it gives you a very detailed breakdown of all the things that you are potentially deficient in, or things you have too much of in your body. So you can clearly see on this one here, in terms of antioxidants, this particular person has got high levels of vitamin A, C, and E. However, on the CoQ10 and things like that, they're fairly low in some of those cases. And then here on the red side, we can see that they're low in things like B vitamins. So B vitamins are incredibly important for energy production. So if this person was saying that they were fatigued, well, it'll be obvious to see that they're not getting enough B vitamins in their body. Therefore, there's something they might need to supplement with. So I think this is a very powerful tool because it gives you a lot of data to start off with to see where you're low. And even though you're trying to fix your leaky gut, you can take additional amounts of these specific supplements or even in a complex format, so that you are giving your body the nutrients it requires so that you can get through everyday life, rather than feeling like crap and feeling really tired. So this is something you can do at the beginning. I know it's £400, which is a lot of money, but it gives you that baseline information. And then maybe later on, once you've fixed your gut, you could retest again to see if you're deficient in anything else, or there's any other areas you need to improve on. So I think this is really important to make sure that you are not malnourished and you're getting all the requirements you need for a daily basis and to help yourself out. So that's one of the tests I recommend. Again, I'll leave links to all this stuff below if it's something that you're interested in doing. Things that you want to avoid. Obviously, we want to avoid alcohol, as I mentioned before. We want to avoid things that are inflammatory to our system, so alcohol being one of those things, but sugar is also highly inflammatory. Anything that you think is probably bad for you is usually bad for you. So you want to avoid things that are inflammatory to your system, including inflammatory foods. Now, I mentioned before about the IgA food intolerance testing. Well, if you're eating foods that are causing you to have inflammation, you want to avoid those foods. So it could be worth doing an IgA food intolerance test, but you could just hold a food diary as well and see what foods make you feel like crap and make you feel inflamed, and avoid those foods if possible. I'd certainly avoid things like dairy, gluten, and wheat, because they're the kind of the three big ones that usually cause a problem. And I know it's hard to do, but you want to avoid as much stress as possible. And that includes doing exercise of a high intensity. If you're doing high intensity exercise, your body is going to be spending a lot of energy on the exercise and not spending that energy on repairing your gut. So you want to avoid things like that, and you want to do more things like calming stuff like yoga, Pilates, going for walks, getting in nature, all that kind of good stuff. And the last thing on here is something that can be really helpful for leaky gut, which I mentioned on my SIBO video, is an elemental diet. You can do this for a number of weeks, but this is pre-digested protein drinks that are very easy on your gut and give you enough energy and minerals and vitamins that are going to help provide that nutrient density that you require in order for you to feel really good and give you that kind of energy requirements you need on a daily basis. So elemental diets can be very helpful. They can be expensive, so it's something that you want to look into depending on the type of leaky gut that you've got and how bad you feel. But it can be very beneficial to help you recover and get the most out of all the supplements you're taking on your journey. So that was it for today, guys. I hope you found this video useful. Check out all the other content that I've got, because there's stuff on there about SIBO that you might find really useful. I'll leave links to everything I've talked about below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. You can ask me any comments or questions if you like. I'll try my best to answer them as much as I can. but it's always hard because there's always lots of questions and comments. But if you want me to do a video on kind of training or other areas of SIBO or leaky gut, let me know, and I'll catch you on the next video.